Most of League's champions are granted powers by their race or innate abilities, but there's a decent number of champions who rely on their weapons for their strength. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of Runeterra's legendary weapons. Harok was said to be the first Ascended warrior to be on the front line against the Void threat during the War of Acacia, known for diving into the heart of the Void and wounding its core with his magical gauntlets, and the legendary Netherblade. He was without a doubt the most important Ascended, because he discovered a way to destroy the Void once and for all. Unfortunately, Harok was betrayed and slain by the tyrant Nezuk, who stole one of his gauntlets, but didn't dare steal the one holding the blade because he knew that it was the world's only chance against the Void. Years later, the gauntlet holding the blade was found by Kassadin in one of Harok's secret temples, while the other gauntlet was found by Ezreal in the tomb of Nezuk. Neither Kassadin nor Ezreal used the gauntlets at their full power, because the true power of these weapons are unlocked when a user wields both at the same time. Basically, even though Kassadin has a legendary blade, it isn't at his maximum strength. Mordekaiser has the power to manipulate souls, where he can shape souls into anything he wants. His domain, the Grey Realm, was built from the souls he manipulated, like him saying your soul is unworthy and turning you into a brick. In his first resurrection, he used the souls of the mages who brought him back to craft a mace called Nightfall. To draw Mordekaiser's attention, these mages must have been very powerful, so combined with Mordekaiser's own magic, the Nightfall was formed. Thousands of years ago, when Ornn was spending his days in his forge making weapons, he had his favorite tools, until Volibear showed up and they ended up in a fight. It's said that during the fight, Ornn took his favorite fork and threw it into the sea, where it was found by some unknown being, and is now used to lead the seas. Many say that the fork became the trident wielded by Fizz, but I couldn't find confirmation anywhere. Others claim that the trident used to be the Mirai, Nami's tribe, but unfortunately, I couldn't find a solid source for that either. However, what we do know is that Ornn's fork wound up being an incredibly powerful weapon that could dominate the oceans. This was the first legendary weapon Riot created, and it was wielded by one of the founders of Demacia, Orlan. Although he wielded a hammer named after him, we don't know where he got it, only that it was forged for a true hero. When he died, he passed it on to Poppy, who swore to find a true hero worthy of wielding the hammer, though she didn't realize that she was the hero he'd meant to give it to. So Poppy uses the hammer to protect Demacia, while still searching for the hero she thinks should wield the hammer, even though she herself is the hero. The Wuju blades were created by legendary smith Doran, the same guy who created the Doran items in the game, like Doran's blade, Doran's shield, Doran's ring, etc. After crafting them, Doran hid the blade somewhere secret in Ionia, and uttered poems so that spirits would bless the weapons. The thing is, the secret place Doran chose to hide the blades was Mistfall. Mistfall is a place that has connection with one of the most powerful creatures in Runeterra, the Vastaya Shirei, who are the beings that gave rise to the Vastaya. So these blades are massively buffed. They were created by one of the best smiths ever, and blessed by one of the top tier races in Runeterra. That just strengthens the claim that Master Yi is one of the most powerful beings in Runeterra. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe, drop a like on the video, and maybe consider becoming a member to get access to a bunch of cool perks. And check out our store. There's a lot of really cool designs available and products, so go check them out. Links in the description. Anyways, back to the video. The weapon's name was revealed in an old short story called Aftermath, the one after the supposed death of Xin Zhao, which is helpful even though it's no longer canon. As the name suggests, it was created to kill dragons. More specifically, it was made to slay a sick ice dragon called Maelstrom, who was attacking Demacia in the early days of the kingdom. After the dragon was killed, the spear became a symbol of greatness, since it was crafted by the Orlan, the guy who made Poppy's hammer. In the short story, during a training session between Jarvan and Xin Zhao, it's said that if the spear is used by inexperienced hands, it becomes as dangerous to the wielder as to the enemy. Because of that risk, Demacia decided to use it as a ceremonial weapon passed down to the king's successor each generation. Jarvan himself received the spear from his father when he was 16. Now it makes sense why the blade was so difficult to wield. After all, it was able to change its size, so it's understandable that it would be hard to handle it, since you would have to know when to use it when it's 1 meter and when it's 10 meters, and get used to that size shift. The next weapon in this video is the Runic Blade. Riven got the sword as as a reward after proving her worth to the Noxian army. It said that the weapon was made especially for her. Big and heavy, a style of a weapon that Riven likes. And likely it was enchanted by LeBlanc. A short story made in 3 parts called Sisterhood of War went into more detail about the sword. It said that LeBlanc really wanted to retrieve the sword, so she sent people after Riven to get it. No one really knows why LeBlanc wants the sword so badly, but considering that LeBlanc only wants to gather the greatest weapons to guarantee the return of Mordekaiser, then the sword must be super sick. And considering the sword resemblance to those runes that Mbessa and Rictus use in Arcane to defend themselves against magic, it's quite possible that the type of runic magic interferes somehow in LeBlanc's plans. After that, Riven meets Yasuo's master, who breaks her sword, but accidentally dies by a wind cut from the sword. The thing is, even broken, the pieces of the sword stayed held together. Even when she separated and hid the pieces, they always came back together. The most legendary weapon of all in Runeterra. Originally, people thought this weapon was the key to the Tomb of Azir, but actually it was the weapon of the goddess Sitaka, who was the leader of the Ascended God Warriors. After she died fighting the Void, her weapon was kept safe until the aspect of Twilight of that era, named Myasha, manipulated a Darkin named Tanari to use it against the other Darkin. In the short story, it said that a silver fire descended from the heavens and absorbed the Darkin into the Chalisaur. The only one not absorbed by the weapon was Tanari, who reverted to being human, but then was killed by Misha. After that, the weapon was given to the Shuriman warriors so they could fight the remaining Darkin. So according to the lore, Sivir's boomerang is probably the most effective weapon against the Darkin in all of Runeterra. The next weapon is maybe the most iconic in League, because it's both an item in the game and a pretty famous weapon in the lore. This sword absorbs a part of the wielder's soul, and it symbolizes a pact with the weapon. It was passed down generation after generation among the kings of Camivor, representing the king giving a part of his soul for the kingdom. In the lore, sanctity is extremely important because it was directly responsible for trapping Viego's soul in the Shadow Isles and causing the ruination. After Viego was pierced by the weapon inside of the Waters of Life, he was unable to die, which triggered a weird reaction where the souls of the Isles died, but at the same time didn't, becoming specters. So following the ruination, the sword probably became more powerful than it already was, although we still don't know the full extent of its true power. The next entry isn't a single weapon, but rather an entire category of weapons. Thousands of years ago, the Darkin were humans who showed great valor for the Shuriman Empire and went through the Ascension ritual, becoming god warriors with magical powers and anthropomorphic physical traits. However, after the war against Decathia, some Ascended were corrupted by the Void, going mad, distorting their bodies through the blood magic and starting a massive war. Seeing that the war could destroy the world, the aspect of Twilight gave mortals knowledge to trap the Darkin in their own weapons, making them lose their original forms. And even if a Darkin manages to return to a body and someone wields the weapon, they can't use their full power because no mortal body can contain their power for long without being destroyed. So the Darkin are doomed to always return to their weapon prison. But even while controlling the body of whoever wields them, these powerful weapons are without a doubt legendary because the Darkin are extremely powerful. Aatrox, their general and the most powerful among them, once killed the Celestial of War. However, there are also cases where the wielder manages to beat the Darkin and take their power, like the hypothetical Blue Cane, who won the contest with Rast for control over their body, and secured some of his power, giving him attributes like increased strength and speed without some of the other powers like blood magic. Anyway, that's basically it. See you guys in the next video.